Hey there, welcome to the Posit Data Science Hangout. I'm Libby Heron, and this is a recording of our weekly community call that happens every Thursday at 12 p.m. US Eastern Time. If you are not joining us live, you miss out on the amazing chat that's going on. So find the link in the description where you can add our call to your calendar and come hang out with the most supportive, friendly, and funny data community you'll ever experience. Can't wait to see you there. I would love to go ahead and introduce our featured leader for today, Ryan Timpe. He's a data scientist at the Lego Group. And you might know him from his hilarious conference talk in 2020, where he talked about learning R with funny side projects. That was my first introduction to Ryan. And then I've gotten to see him talk live in 2023. And he also gave a talk this year in 2025. And I will have all those links in a minute. Ryan, thank you so much for being with us. And it would be great if you could introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about what you do and what you like to do for fun.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me. Yeah, so I'm a lead data scientist at the Lego Group. I've been there for 6.5 years, so right before COVID, and it feels like it went by super quickly. Everything I do is around marketing effectiveness and measuring how well all of our marketing and TV shows and everything that we do to try to get you to buy Lego sets, how that works and how successful that is. And it's a ton of models in the back end, and then it's a ton of working with the business to interpret those models and then action on them. Before that, I had like 10 years in the tech consulting firm doing a lot of macroeconomic forecasting and market sizing and survey analysis. And this was kind of before data science was a real thing. And so eventually I just changed my job title to data scientist and became real somehow. Besides that, I live in Connecticut, work in Boston, have a fluffy dog who's looking at me while we're not walking right now. And then yeah, free time. Again, it was those silly data science side projects that I did a lot when, especially a few years ago, to help me learn a lot of things. Um, More recently, just a lot of still doing that a little bit. A lot of Lego building, of course, because childhood me was obsessed with it and still am. And then when I hit 30 a few years ago, I joined an adult gymnastics class, and that takes up all my nights and it beats me up, but
What?
it's really fun
Ooh.
and trying to do things that I should have started doing as a really young kid, but now trying to do as an adult. So my body's always in pain, but I have so much
I
fun
was gonna
doing it.
say, have you taken out like an extra insurance policy, accident policy?
That's probably a good
Probably.
idea.
As a former
Um,
insurance agent, I'm like, insurance, insurance, insurance.
no, but like I'm very slow to progress because adults have fear receptors, and I know that my entire livelihood is my brain. So falling on my head terrifies me. So yeah, I'm very
Yeah,
slow, but I love it. So
that's
basically
what
five
matters.
nights a week I'm at gymnastics.
I love it. Yeah, we're not made of rubber anymore once we get past a certain age, right? Well, I would love to remind everybody that you can ask questions in Slido. And we already have so many questions, Ryan. I think that you've set some kind of record for
Oh
the
wow.
most
All right.
Slido questions asked before we've even hit the 10-minute mark because there's like more than five in there right now. So why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm gonna go hop over to Slido. I have an anonymous question, but it does have a name on it. And it is Saptarishi. You had asked a question. If you are available to ask it live, Rachel can help you unmute.
Oh, yeah, fun. Okay,
Hey.
I'm unmuted. Hey, I'm so happy I joined today. I did not know you also work at Lego, so this is fantastic. I'm a huge Lego person as well. Wait, let me see if I can turn my camera on for a
Let
second.
me just say right now, officially, I'm talking about my job as much as I can, and officially, I'm not representing the Lego Group today. We're very, very conscious about like brand identity. So I'm here as a data scientist, but yeah, definitely can
All
talk
right,
about in
okay, I'm just
general.
gonna hold this to the side
Awesome
so I can
set.
keep this in
Yeah.
context.
Oh,
Um,
it's
I
beautiful.
I do work in MMM as well, so this is really
Oh,
fantastic. What I
cool.
was wondering is, what kind of MMM do you guys do? Is it more like Bayesian, frequentist, and how do you guys go about it? Like, what's the usual workflow?
And we should say like what MMM is for people in the chat
Oh
Yeah.
who
yeah, sure.
don't know.
Let's start off with that, and then more in the details of like what your MMM pipeline flow is like.
Yeah. So MMM is marketing mix modeling. It's an econometric, s- yeah, equations to try to relate every type of marketing inputs to how much of sales or brand health or any of your KPIs you can allocate or attribute to each marketing lever. We definitely are more on the Bayesian side, so that's I actually in 2023 I gave a talk about tidying models, and that tidying models are the foundation of all of our MMM work. But we do Bayesian, and for the very specific reason of especially in the Lego group, we're a very seasonal company. If you look at our sales trends, they spike every Q4, and all of our marketing and every single one of our inputs basically has that same pattern. So you have an overfitting chaos anytime you even run the simplest model. So we found that we're using Bayesian as the first layer to kind of add a lot of business context into the model, what we expect to, like when we actually get to the MMM part, we have these Bayesian priors to kind of help us really keep everything within constraints. And we do a lot of research before we get to the modeling process to actually look at these patterns and help inform those priors.
All right, that was a lot of stats and
Yeah, that's more than I
ML.
expected. I was expecting a Lego question or like a toy question at first. So yeah,
If
that's
anyone has any questions about any of those terms, put them in the chat, and everybody in the chat is going to help you understand them. So I can help fill in gaps too if Ryan's talking and you have questions. Thank you so much, Saptarishi, for that great question. And there are some other ones in here that are a little bit more technical. We can switch back and forth between some technical and some non-technical. I wanted to ask Zach's question though, because I love it so much as a lead into some of the silly project stuff. So Zach had asked, what was your favorite silly project that you did? Which one? I have a favorite Ryan project.
yeah, and it definitely has shifted. I think if I look back at everything I've done, brickr was the one I'm like where I turn images into Lego mosaics, and I did that way before I joined the Lego group. That was my favorite just because that one was just one morning. I just wanted to see if it was possible, and then it evolved over time. And I was sharing on Twitter a lot, and like I got a lot of community feedback, and that was the one that I felt like my closest to my identity. I kept on iterating on it, learning more things. Eventually, turned into 3D models based off of Tyler Morgan Wall's work, and then miraculously, the Lego Group was hiring data scientists in my state, and that was an amazing interview topic of conversation. So I have a very like warm spot in my heart for the brickr side project. Um,
Do you want to
Beyond
say a little
that,
bit
yeah,
about what it is? I put a link to it in the chat, but for anyone who
yeah,
hasn't seen it, what is
yeah,
brickr?
exactly. So it started out as so the Lego Group had an online tool to make mosaics of Lego bricks from images. So you'd upload an image and it'd make a black and white mosaic from a predefined selection of bricks. It's a very actually pretty simple math problem. So I wanted to see if I could do it in R, and that's kind of when I hadn't used dplyr a lot by then, but I was trying to learn it more out of or do more with dplyr. And so I wanted to see if this was possible with the tidyverse, and it definitely was. And then because it's all digital, you can have any constraints you want, or you don't have all the constraints of limited bricks. So you can make colors, you can make different size bricks, and just basically literally turning an image of your face into Lego bricks. And then over time, that blew up to a lot more 3D models to instructions to like tell it. It's about mostly the square bricks, but you could say, hey, I want a 3D house. You draw an outline of it with some rules, and then brickr could create that as a 3D model in R that you could spin around and play with
So
purely
fun.
for fun. But it was a lot of fun to build, and it was a lot of fun to use. And this was kind of the days when Twitter, data science on Twitter is huge, and you could just share stuff in the process and get a lot of input, and everyone was cheering you on. And definitely miss those days, but it was a really fun time to develop things. So it's definitely my favorite side project. I do
I
have some,
think
yeah, go for
we're
it.
bringing those days back. The scene on Blue Sky, the RStat scene and the Data BS scene is really, really good. I would recommend it if you aren't on Blue Sky, everybody go check it out. Go see if you can rekindle some of your RStats Twitter. And then also we have the Posit Discord, which is just a data science community Discord where you can do all of that. You could share your stuff and it will only be going to other data people who will help you, give you feedback or cheer you on. And I will be putting a link to join the Discord in just a second. Blue Sky groups, there are some feeds you can follow in Blue Sky, and there's also starter packs in Blue Sky. If someone in the chat will help me out by putting some starter packs, um, Jeremy Allen has a good one for our stat people. That would be great. But yeah, I wanted to call out also that Eric had put his Shiny app, his Lego Mosaic Shiny app in the chat, which is a really great example. It's like a mosaic maker of building off of the work of somebody else. And I would love it if you go investigate that. But Ryan, I wanted to talk just like 2 seconds more about you built this thing for Lego, and then Lego happened to be looking for a data person, and your project happened to be the right thing. I talk all the time about working out loud and the value of it. If Lego had been hiring and you hadn't done that, and you hadn't put the time in to make this project, do you think you would have gotten the job? Do you think it like helped you put you over the edge?
So Lego wasn't looking for mosaic or my brickr mosaic thing.
Right.
I think it but it was just a very good topic of conversation in my interviews. And actually my first interview was fine. It was like 8 a.m. after being unemployed for 3 months, and I wasn't really in the mindset. And it was a fine interview, but it wasn't amazing. And then in between that first interview and then the ambiguous next steps of a second interview, I think some people who were already at the Lego group heard that I was interviewing, and actually, one of them was very active on Twitter at the time, and she's like, "Oh," she told my boss at the time, "Oh, have you seen this?" And that got my second interview, I think. So I think it recovered my awkward first interview, and my boss knowing about this project I did on the side that like really showed off my skills better than I could show off first round interview. I think that helped pique their interest a lot more. And so on the second round interview, I talked a lot more about the development of this, and I was a lot more comfortable because I was in control of that conversation, and I could talk very clearly about what my goal was, and it showed my passion for the brand. So I think, yeah, definitely it helped. And I was shy about it at first, which I should not have been shy about, but I just kind of assumed that a professional person wouldn't want to see my silly toy
Aw,
project, but I was
they
wrong. Like,
do.
and yeah, no, now when I'm interviewing people, I love seeing these side projects. And so yeah, I made a miscalculation, but the universe kind of helped recover me. But yeah, it was definitely, yeah, it
I'm
definitely
so
helped
glad.
get me that job. I'm 100% sure of that.
Y'all work out loud, even the silly stuff, especially the silly stuff. It's a better conversation starter. I have gotten 2 interviews because I put that I played roller derby on my application or on my it was on my resume. It was at the bottom of my resume. Like I play roller derby. That's a fun thing about me. And twice I had interviews where I got the job where they were like, "We literally only just wanted to talk about roller derby. Like we saw that you played it and like we thought you're like the fun person we put in our stack." And I ended up being the best candidate. Maybe I wasn't very good at writing my resume to show that I was the best candidate, but I was good at showing I was fun. Okay, let's head back over to Slido. Thank you for everybody chiming in the chat with all of your fun stuff here. I want to have Noor unmute and ask her question live if she's available. Noor, are you there? Rachel's going to help you unmute.
Hello.
Hey.
Uh, I grew up on Legos. Like literally, my dad gave me like not like the big Legos, but like the tiny mechanical like tool Legos, and was like, knock yourself out. I was 5. Did that have an input on my life? Maybe. But the actual question is, you talk a lot about like you're known for doing like fun side projects and so forth. How do you scope your projects, or do you even like have a concept of scope when you go in? How do you know when you're done, or what do you define as done? And do you know this before you start, or you're just kind of like, this is cool, and then eventually you wrap a project around it?
I think you will see by my lack of crayon and my lack of, or my big, my abundance of incomplete repos that I don't scope out very well. I basically have a random idea while walking the dog or watching TV or seeing what someone else did. I get super excited and obsess over for a few days or a few weeks, depending on how big the thing is. I definitely do not plan this stuff out well. And then I just build it until I see, can I do it? And then if it's a cool thing to share, I put it out, show my friends or show the internet or show my coworkers. Sometimes, a lot of times I get bored before I have a complete thing to do, but I've still learned something from it. But yeah, in general, I'm not a very good planner. I love having a product manager at work to help do all that stuff. I like proof of concepting things and moving really quickly and seeing what's possible. But once it gets to productionalization, I start and you have to like worry about all the details and make it perfect to make sure it works out all over the place. I struggle there. Um, which is really why I like working on a data science team where there's people who love that part. So
It
yeah,
balances
side
out, right?
projects die a lot, and some of them never make it past the initial like untitled R script, but it's yeah,
Yeah.
they're still fun to do.
Almost everything I do is untitled R script in the wrong project. I'm really, really impulsive. I'm in some other project and I'm like,
Yeah.
ooh, idea. Or someone has texted me and they're like, help, right? And then whatever project that I'm in, I open an untitled R file and write them a demo code and then teach them. And then I go, what do I do with this code now? Should I put it somewhere? I need like a demo repo where I can save these things, but I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
save
one.
mine to a one-offs folder in the project I'm in, and I forget where it is, and then years
Yep,
later I have to do like a find in files, remember some random lines I wrote. But yeah,
exactly. Yep, exactly. All right. Well, Noor, thank you so much for asking that question. And I had another one from Lauren in the chat. Lauren, if you are available to ask your question live, and there might be more than one Lauren here, I'm not sure. Um, I'm hoping it's Lauren Price. Was it you? It was. Okay.
Just to unmuted Lauren Price.
Oh,
There we go.
am I okay? Good. You can hear me now. Hello.
Yeah.
I as I wrote in the Slido, I am just getting started in my journey towards Python after lots of years of R and even Stata. And the idea of not having a crayon to manage packages and not having like a single specific sort of industry standard GUI interface to use. I recognize those are both barriers to me getting started. And I would like to know either in the chat from people who are active in Python and are, or from the, the hosts and guests, what do you all recommend or unrecommend as the case may be? And is there any like big fundamental difference that I need to keep in mind as I start this journey just in setting up my environment? And that's all she wrote.
Thanks, Lauren.
definitely use the chat. I'm a terrible person to answer this. I do know right before I gave my talk this year is Julia Silge gave a talk about getting unstuck with Python. Watch that for sure.
We can link that one.
Yeah,
That's a good
someone
one. I
link.
bet Isabella will be able to help us go find it. I'm sure she's like already on it. But also, your talk mentioned part of this. Your talk was like, I'm not a Python programmer, but I guess I am now because I'm now like launching stuff in Python. Ryan's talk this year, everybody, was learning from the pitfalls of using LLMs for coding. It was really interesting. Please go watch it for sure. I'm going to link it in the chat. All right, take it away, Ryan. Any words of wisdom for getting started with Python?
Um, try to stay as engaged as possible. Like again, I use the LLMs for everything, but it's a trap, and I rely on our platform and our engineers at work to help set up the environments because version controlling still shocks me, and I don't understand that as or not the version, but like the packages and the packaging managers. I just have to pray that Databricks environment is set up correctly every time I start doing something, and for the most part, it usually is. Um, but again, being part of I haven't used Python in a personal manner or side project manner, except for Advent of Code. I force myself to do that in Python, but then I give up after by 19 gets too hard. But at work, I'm just very glad I have engineers and a platform team to help do the hard part for me. So I'm very much like I hit an error. If the AI can't help me solve the error, I just shove it off and pray someone else can help me. I guess I'm privileged there, but yeah, I am not your Python expert at all.
I think the main takeaway is that you are surrounded by people who will be nice to you when you are
Yes.
confused by Python stuff, right? So I would say the Discord is actually a really great place to go. There's a Python channel, and a lot of folks there will be willing to help you. I know that Daniel Chen will hop in and help too. My recommendation is Positron and UV. So get Positron installed, get UV set up, and you will have far fewer problems than you would have had a couple of years ago trying to do Python without those things as a data person who's used to R. I see Megan Harris like nodding vigorously at that combination. So she could probably chime in the chat as well, and maybe in the Discord server if we can convince her to become a Discord person. I'm working on it, Megan. Okay.
Libby, I
Let's
also
hop.
wanted to add just for the people listening to the recording, because I put it in the chat, but Posit Package Manager also supports both
Oh, yeah.
and Python. So I put the link there. And there's also a free public Posit Package Manager too. Just wanted to add that.
Excellent. Excellent ad. Thank you. All right. Well, I just saw a question pop up immediately in the Slido after you said that. It's a great follow-up. It's anonymous, so I will ask it. It says, when do you recommend not using LLMs and why? When is it a trap?
Yeah, and again, I'm not an expert at LLMs. I'm using them. I'm trying to figure out how to use them, just like I think everyone else is. I still want to have fun doing data science, and I don't want to offload all that fun to an LLM. So I'm still a little stubborn with if I know how to do something, and like trying to, or I know I could figure out how to do something. I like trying to figure out myself, and then maybe using the LLM to help me with like small, discrete, unstuck things. Um, they're great at speed. They're great at when I'm feeling lazy. Like sometimes when you're doing tons of data processing and you know you have this 40-line pipeline you're gonna have to write in dplyr, like, be like, I know I can do this. Let's just have the LM do it. But if I'm trying to expand my knowledge and like really get close to the data and or try to learn something new, I'm not relying on the LM that much. So yeah, I feel like I'm still writing a lot of manual code, especially if I'm writing stuff in R. I'm still doing 99% of it myself. The Python stuff though, it's just I could be staring at a blank page for a very long time or I could describe exactly to the LM what I want, and then I try to fix it. But yeah, I don't know. I still like having fun writing code, so I write more than I probably should, but I don't know. I'm still learning how to use LLMs best for my work, and I think we all are. And especially as the LLMs get better, I'm sure I'll start shifting it more and more.
We all are, absolutely. And I think for me, the trap comes when I go into it thinking this will save me time because it never does. And what I should have done from the beginning was use the LLM to help me build a foundational understanding that I need to build the thing myself, or the foundational understanding that I need to check its work when I ask it to build functions or bits and pieces for me. So that's the trap for me. And now I'm going to hear Admiral Akbar in my head every time I open ChatGPT. Thank you, Ryan. Okay, there's a question from Luke that I thought was really great. Luke, are you able to unmute and ask your question live? Wait, let me look
Yeah,
really full
sure.
screen.
Yeah, I'm
Hey,
here.
hey, there he is. Thank you.
Yeah, so I mean, I admire actually a lot of people in the Hangout who are able to put out like newsletters or podcasts or even just like for you, like projects and just throw them out openly in the public and be like, here it is. It's not perfect. Hey, enjoy. Like, I don't, for some reason, crossing that idea of hitting publish on something publicly that is not, for some reason, like groundbreaking or perfect is just like impossible for me. So kind of how do you shut up your own inner critic and just make it happen?
What a good question. Thank you for asking, Luke.
Yeah, I don't think I actively have shut it up. I'm always second guessing stuff I put out there. And like back when I was on Twitter a lot, I had deleted so many things, not even just data science related. I'm like, oh, this is a good idea. And like, no, never mind. This doesn't need to be said. Um, but then yeah, like sometimes I just get really excited and my family they're not nerds, they can't share their excitement. I just need to find like the correct audience for it, even I know it's not perfect, but like data scientists are all they love imperfection, they love incomplete things. a lot of my side projects were inspired from other people putting things out there, or even putting incomplete things out there, and me seeing what I could do with it and spin it off. So I guess that when it comes to sharing incomplete stuff, I don't think about it at all. I just like, that's the natural thing you do. You're creating things, and I know I'm never going to perfect it. So it's either hide it away or just put out what you have there, and it might inspire someone else, or someone might learn from it. And I'm not doing as much as I used to do, but I wish I would do more. But I'm hoping this kind of talk today inspires me to keep doing more and more of it. But yeah, I don't think I ever made an active decision to shut myself up from, or like be afraid of not being afraid of releasing stuff. I think it just came naturally, seeing everyone else around me doing it, and there is no risk to putting out silly ideas out there if they're just fun side products of you learning.
I agree, but I do recognize that it's terrifying. I will say I'm going to put the link to my blog in the chat. And I would like you, if you care, to go look at it and see that I literally published a like 7 to 8 part blog series on something that no one cares about. Like I wrote an app and spent a year learning deeply something that absolutely nobody cares about. And it's not perfect, but I had so much fun. The takeaway though is that no one looked at it. I just published it. And I was like, it went out into the internet. Nobody said anything mean to me about it because nobody knew it existed. I think I let a few people know on Blue Sky that it existed. But again, it's like a topic nobody cares about. So why not? I published it. But whenever I needed an example of like working out loud or, my process, because it demonstrates my process, I have it all there. People can go look at it. Far fewer people are looking at what you publish on the internet than you think, I guess is what I'm trying to say, unless you really, really try to let them know it's happening, like you give a conference talk like Ryan did. Okay, let's head back over to Slido. Thank you everybody for chiming in the chat with all of your plugs and your links and stuff. Oh, and I will also plug Simone Yetch as a person who intentionally decided to do bad projects out loud. She's the girl who like builds bad robots, and she has for many, many years. You can go look her up on YouTube. Fantastic inspiration for working out loud. Okay, we had a question from Natasha. And if this question is one that Ryan cannot ask or answer because it's specific to Lego, I want to say that that's okay. But Natasha, if you're able to ask that live, I would love it.
Hi. So what I was wondering about is what kind of data you use for your LLMs and stuff. And just, I can see that with something like Lego, from the outside, we're all seeing that, oh, everybody's excited on Twitter or all the social media places. You would see a lot of excitement about new Lego sets. But like for your purposes, where do you get your data from?
Yeah, I think in general terms, whenever you're buying a lot of marketing and investing behind it, you get a lot of data about that. So if you're buying from Google or you're buying from Meta, they give you a ton of impressions data. You know exactly what type of audiences are seeing your ads, who's seeing it, who's clicking it. So basically, if it's marketing traditionally, where we buy it, we get the data from. We have to account for a lot more things than just digital marketing, because especially with the Lego Group, it's a brand that's been around for 95 years and has a lot of brand health and a lot of affinity. And then I think the interesting thing is, as you mentioned, there's this very niche group of Lego nerds, and it's very highly correlated data science nerds. And they know everything's happening with the Lego Group all the time. And we don't really have to market to them. We just have to get them excited for it. But there's a whole other larger circle of people who don't really know much about our product. So they think, oh, it's just it's a kid's toy that you can build fire engines with. And we have to do a lot of marketing and a lot of things to get them excited for. And social media is great for that. We have a lot of data in our models. It covers everything, covers different audiences. But I guess we get a lot of different sources. So it's hard to answer that question in sound bites for general audience. But yeah,
That's
happy to
okay.
talk
I
about this
figured it might
stuff
be
at some point.
challenging. Well, why
Yeah.
don't we hop over to another sort of modeling question? Because Mark had asked one of those. Mark, if you are available, I think this is Mark Ricci because it's an MMM question, and I know Mark. Maybe he can
Trying
unmute.
to see if Mark maybe has first initial name or if he had to drop. I think he had to drop 30 minutes in
He
for another.
might have had to drop.
stuff.
Let me ask his question because it got upvoted by a few people. And it was, does Lego use an open source MMM package like Meridian or Robyn, or do you like build from scratch, use an external vendor? He was curious about how that decision process might have been made. And
Yeah,
it's
that's like, first of all,
a
I'd
good
say
one.
I was not expecting this much excitement about marketing data science or MMM. So I feel like might need to join Discord and we set up a marketing nerd chat or something because I think there's a lot I want to learn from the industry as well. But to answer the question directly, yeah, when I joined, we had some. Robyn wasn't out there yet because it was 2019, but we have external firms and agencies that run MMM for a lot of our markets, but they're very expensive, and so and it eat a lot of some pieces of the marketing budget. So I built one internally, or we had to run some MMM models internally. My team and I chose to develop our own, and I'm on the second iteration of that right now. And again, I use tidy models as the foundation of all that. Was really what I needed at the time to have all the control over the inputs. I built a lot of wrappers around that. So we're using an internally developed package in R right now. And I love it, and it works very well for us. And so I like maintaining that. It is always discussion what the next generation of that's going to be. But we have so much in our pipeline right now that I think my package is safe for a few more years. It just works very, very well. We can control everything we need to control for it. So yeah, I'm very proud of it. So, and yeah, I think I talked about this a little bit in the 2023 talk. That was about the
You
development
did.
process of that MMM.
Yeah, I was actually about to put that in the chat one more time. So I'm going to pop the link to his 2023 talk in there, all about model pipelines. And I know that you have said like you use tidy models all the time, but you don't actually ever touch tidy models because you wrote things that just incorporate it behind the scenes. I don't know if you wanted to just talk really briefly about that topic.
Yeah, so I had to write a bunch of custom step function. If you've seen tidy models, there's a lot of process. Like it's basically setting up your model and then you're running it independently, your recipe, and you're running it independently, and there's step functions. I had to write a lot of custom step functions to fit our data transformations that we needed to do for MMM. But the biggest challenge we have with MMM, besides the priors and running the models and getting all your hyperparameters, is that we are at every time we have thousands of data points that we could, or data series that we could put into models. A lot of them are highly correlated. A lot of them are different ways to measure the same thing. So if you have marketing, you can see your investment, or you can see your impressions, which are 1-for-1 correlated. You can't use both. So we need a lot of ways for the data scientists and the business expert to know which ones to turn on and which ones to turn off. So I built a bunch of wrappers that make it very easy to kind of set your transformations, toggle your features, say what transformations they should have, because you need some S curves for if you're expecting diminishing returns and decay. Sometimes you just need some C curves. Again, we should have a marketing hangout, I think.
We totally should.
But yeah. So yeah, I forgot the question point. But yeah.
That's okay. You did
Tidy
it.
models is great. Yeah, I built wrappers for it. So I haven't actually touched tidy models itself in a few years just because we have a bunch of wrappers running in the background. But everything like every tidy model step, the recipe, the baking, the running, that happens every day in our modeling.
I love all of these questions. And Ryan, if you did not think that you were going to get modeling questions, you would be shocked to look at this slide right now because
I'm definitely surprised. Yeah.
they're all in there. So why don't we do at least one more? We have a kind of a handful of marketing questions. Let's see what could help us bring these all together. One of the questions is about communicating to stakeholders. So it is about MMM, but it's a question that I think can be broader than that about stakeholder communication. It's how do you communicate the nuances of MMM, like priors, Bayesian versus frequentist, whatever, to stakeholders who may not be technical? Or do you even communicate any of those nuances? Do you stay higher level than that?
Yeah, so I have a wide variety of stakeholders with a wide variety of interests in the details and how much information they want to know about the back end. And I have some stakeholders who I've only worked with for a few months, some who I've been working with for 5 years, and who I'm more comfortable sharing more and more details without overwhelming them. I don't think any of them have asked the Bayesian versus frequentist question, because that's a very, very niche question to people who are in statistics every day. But in general, we have to explain to them that every kind of variable has a lot of different transformations. We need to apply a bunch of assumptions about carryover impacts and diminishing returns, and then the size of the impact. And everyone seems to get those very high level terms. So we have to basically have a bunch of inner mappings in my brain or on slides to link these very complicated data science transformations into sentences that they might resonate with the stakeholders. Everyone's also like always very excited to hear about how we're using their data in our models and trying to get as much information at this as they can. I think MMM is tough because since we're trying to cover every single data point, we can't really drill into every super specific question they have at all times. So it's about training them about the best way to use the model results. And then once we deliver our results, how they can integrate that with their multi-touch attribution, their last touch attribution, or their other attribution models. In general, I love talking to stakeholders and sharing as much as I can about them. And it's really cool to see them get excited. I've learned that when I first started, they'd ask like technical questions. I'd go all in on the very technical details. I'd lose them right away. So I now I have methodology slides and like different detailed methodology slides or presentations I can give them. And I try the easy one first. And if they're all on board, and then I can have another conversation with them, going another layer down. But usually what I find is I think of the high level ones, they're usually good enough for most people. They want to feel like they understand the process. But yeah, math and statistics is complicated. And so it's very easy to lose them if I tell them too much information.
It is. I love it. Okay. Let's hop over to the Slido one more time and see how many questions we can get in our last 15 minutes. There was an anonymous one that got asked that I absolutely loved. And it was, does your love for Lego help you build code better? Like scoping, sectioning, loops. Modularization, I guess, is one that I would throw in there because Lego is great about that.
I haven't put those two things together, but I think that there's probably a real thing there. Again, understanding how pieces fit together and understanding how to link different groups and splitting up correctly. I think I could see that. Slightly unrelated, I think my love for Lego helped me do my job better in general, just being extra excited about the data that we're using. So if you don't care about the brand, I reverse my old job, I did a lot of market sizing and forecasting for tech companies. I was doing some similar work, not MMM, but a lot of modeling and R code. And I did not care about the domain at all. It's about like networking pieces and CPUs and just shipments of computing components. And I wasn't passionate about the domain, so I think I was not passionate about the work. And then once I got the job with my current company, I was doing data science, which I love doing, and I was working with data that I was actually excited about. I mean, if you know our portfolio, we do Star Wars products, we have Jurassic Park products. I get to work with data every day that is all Marvel pop culture and really fun data. So having that enjoyment with what I'm building really motivates me to enjoy my job more and do better at that.
Thank you for that fantastic question, whoever you were, anonymous asker. And it also reminded me, and it reminded Alyssa too, The educators in the chat are talking about the same thing. Scratch, if you've never played with Scratch, it's very Lego-esque. It's basically teaching kids to code, and it puts everything together in these like interlocking pieces, and it's visual, right? So it's a UI, and you're putting together these little pieces that snap together and do different things, right? Like different types of what we would call functions that operate on each other. And it's super, super fun. If you've never played with it, I highly recommend it. Go create some things in Scratch, but it's very, very modular and Lego-ish. Okay, let's hop back over to Slido. Bear with me for 1 second while I read through here. I saw a question from Tim Golden. If you're available to unmute and ask that live, that would be fantastic.
Sure. Yeah.
Hey,
What was I going to
I
ask?
have
Oh yeah,
highlighted it in
right.
the chat in Slido.
Priority for sure. Yeah. How do you decide what your team works on next? So what are the things that drive priority for what your team works on at a company that we're not diluting the brand of?
Yeah. Short answer is I personally don't decide too much. And this has shifted a lot over the past few years, but I sit within a marketing portfolio team. So everything that team cares about is optimizing marketing. And then it trickles down to my product, which is all about marketing effectiveness or marketing optimization. So we have a lot of demand for our work, but the big overarching thing is what our team's goal is, and that's to build reproducible marketing optimization tools and then trying to fit within that. So yeah, I have a product manager now. We have a portfolio manager. So most of those decisions and choosing what to work on really have to make sure what's the most aligned with our product, what can we think we can reasonably do within that certain amount of time, what one will have the most impact, business impact, business value. So there's a lot of really cool questions we're asked sometimes, and I would love to answer them, but it's really hard to fit in the schedule, and it's hard to really justify like doing this small project for the small team. Yeah, that might be super interesting, but that would come at a risk of losing some of our marketing optimizations. But that's kind of just the part of being part of a big company and having a lot of different teams doing data science. We have some like incubation opportunities and hackathon opportunities to kind of prove extra value, and those are always fun. But yeah, we're not short of work, so we have to rely on the business to help prioritize.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Tim, for asking that. All right. In our last 10 minutes here, I'd love to do rapid fire if I can. So questions that might be able to have shorter answers, and you can go as long or as short as you want with them. But let's see. The first one is resources for learning marketing analytics. This wraps in David Gerhardt's question from Slido, which is, have you learned or applied anything from Rory Sutherland, who is a speaker who talks about marketing all the time? And if there are any books, podcasts, anything that you like that we can find the links to and share in the chat with everybody.
Short answer, I don't know. I struggled when I first joined, and I had to catch up, and I read a lot of stuff, and a lot of the stuff I read wasn't super helpful. Again, there are some people I follow on LinkedIn that have this MMM adjacent stuff, and they give talks. I read the stuff, but yeah, I don't have a good answer. Sorry for that.
I think that's a really great answer, actually. You're like, I read some stuff and it wasn't super helpful is actually a nice navigation tool, because there's probably a lot of people out there going, maybe I should be reading all of this stuff. And like, not all of
I
it's
don't
going
think
to
I
be
have it
helpful to
here,
every single person either.
but yeah, I bought a thick book about marketing data science and R when I first joined my job, and none of it was what I was applicable to my job or anything, and I was very disappointed by it. So I actually, on my to-do list, it's like, oh, start writing books or blog posts about marketing data science, but that's a lot of work.
It is a
Yes.
lot of work to be the change you want to see, but also be the free resource that you wish you had. It's a
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
full-time job. All right, next rapid fire. What tools for Bayesian analysis do you use? Do you use Stan and BRMS?
Yep. So Tidy Models works very well with our StanArm. Before that, I used Stan, which I enjoyed the extra level of flexibility it gave me, but when it came to like defining the models and forcing some coefficients to behave more than RSNARM lets you, but I kind of liked how RSNARM has a philosophical restrictions on what transform or distributions you can use. So, because they're thought as if they don't support it, then you're kind of cheating with some of your distributions, like your truncated normal. You could force everything to be positive or negative if you want, but then you're just kind of you're losing confidence in the model results. So, RSNARM for sure through tidying models, and I've learned to love it slowly.
Thank you for asking that question, whoever you were. And we had one that was possibly quick to answer. It was your move from tech companies to the industry where you care about the context intentional, or was it a fortunate accident?
I'm the luckiest person. Literally, my old company closed down, and the week after, the Lego group in my hometown or in my home state posted 2 data science jobs, and yeah, I just got lucky. I can't describe it anywhere else. So I ran with it.
It was
Yeah,
fate.
I had some other job offers in the process, and I Lego was slower than the other ones, and like I almost took a job at another tech company, and I was debating it, and obviously tech companies pay more, but then I remember just like go with my gut, go with the Lego group. I'm so happy I did that. But yeah, I'm so
Yeah.
lucky. I don't take that for granted.
I wish I remembered what Ariel Drawer called it, or someone asked a question to Ariel Drawer the other week that was like, is there a passion tax or something, or like a passion penalty for like doing what you love and getting paid slightly less? Um, but not all compensation is monetary either. It's a nuanced thing.
And that
Okay.
other company I turned down has had so many layoffs since, and like who knows what universe I'd be in right now.
Yeah.
So like I mean, yeah, even if the salary is lower, I think quality of life is so much higher.
Who knows? And I will say, yes, there was an element of luck and randomness, but you had already worked really hard to build something that showed that you were a cool fit and that you had a lot of like passion about the thing. So you already did the work. The hard work that you did increased your likelihood that the luck could land on you, right? And I think that that's important to call out that it was it was your hard work as well. Okay, Natasha had asked one that I would love to see if we can do rapid fire, and it was, what is your end product? Do you summarize your results into reports and presentations, or do you only handle the analysis? Great question, Natasha.
Yeah, and that's a huge topic of conversation. And at first, I think maybe 2 years ago, the MMM, the delivery of the model results, was the end product, and I do those presentations as well. So I work with the business to interpret the results, but then I share them out to the wider business, and my team and I do that. Um, but now I think it's shifted to a lot of using those models for more things. So it's all about marketing optimization, recommendations, scenario planning. So now that we have all these coefficients and all these relationships that we know between marketing and sales, do more with them. We still have to do the share out, but then we have to basically create APIs, put out those model results and those relationships into apps. So we are building front end stuff. So we actually have a live Shiny optimization tool that my coworker built that's being used by our marketing team. But we want to keep doing more and more of that and turn those. So the MMM model is just an input to our other bigger product, which helps people actually make better decisions. So it used to be about describing the past and helping them learn from that, but now it's actually about doing more with the models. And it's a lot of really fun work, which is probably why I'm so super engaged 6 years into the role.
Fantastic. That's another lucky thing, right? I've been doing this for 6 years and I'm still finding all the fun in it. Thank you, Natasha, for that fantastic question. There was one that we might be able to do pretty quickly, and it was, what is the modeling tool that you use to implement a Bayesian MCMC model? And for anybody who is sick of all of our MMMM things, MCMC is Markov Chain Monte Carlo. And so I
Again,
don't,
I think it's just back to the RSTN arm and the tidy models.
I
It
figured.
does all the work for me. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we can blow through these. That's great. One was, let's see. how do you make your model-based reporting faster and more automated? Like, how do you set up scalable pipelines that make manual tasks like this much faster? I think this question is from Saptarishi, and I think that your talk in 2023 might be a good resource for this one. Do you think so?
Yeah, that's part of it. I'd say the rapid fire, the other half of it is that the marketing landscape, our business is always changing. The questions that the business are asking of us and of the models keep changing. So I can't automate all this stuff. We've tried, but I think we've risked feeling stale and not answering the questions we need to answer if we automate all the output. So we do deliver pivot tables, which are used by a few people. We have some Power BIs. But the really interesting part about digesting the results is that we hear what the big hot topics are in the business before modeling. We see if our model will be able to answer that, or do we have to add new variables to do that, and then looking to see how those relationships are propagating out of the models and building custom reports, or just even if it's charts or one-page slides. That's a really fun part, just because our business is always changing. That's why we have to retrain our model so much and really seeing how those relationships change. So I care a little bit less about the automated reporting. We do some, but I get more excited about the questions that are coming out of the models that everyone's interested in right now.
Nice. All right, I think we did pretty well in our rapid fire. We have just a few minutes left, and in that time, I would love to ask you what we try to ask most people, which is, do you have a piece of career advice that you have found really helpful or that you like to give others?
I wish you had warned me about this.
I know, I was just thinking beforehand, I
No,
usually warn
yeah.
people, and I feel like I didn't warn Ryan.
And I know some of it's luck, just finding, for me, just being passionate about the domain I'm in has helped me so much with my career, because I'm excited to do the analysis. I'm excited to do the work. Um, I just really like talking about my job, and when I'm producing analysis, I love talking about it. I love showing it, and I think that passion has shown. And my bosses appreciate the passion. So I think that has helped me more than anything. I'm not the strongest data scientist. I'm definitely not the strongest ML person. And as you know from my Python talks, I'm not good at Python, but I'm really good at just being passionate about the data, knowing the tools to turn business questions into data science tools and then turn those back into the business. Um, that's what works really well for me. And I would not be excited to do that if I was in the tech industry that I left. I just do so well at a company that I really enjoy and I'm passionate about. So not concrete
Fantastic.
advice, but try to find that
Well,
passion.
it's still, I mean, it's like do a temp check on what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, I guess is the follow-on that I would have. Like knowing what you don't like to do can sometimes be just as valuable as knowing what you do like to do. So
Yeah.
one thing that I did was I plotted all of my jobs on an XY axis of happiness and time. So like over time, here are all of my jobs. And then the Y axis was happiness with smiley face icons. And I went through and
Love that.
plotted. And then I went through and asked myself, what made these happy jobs happy? What made the sad ones sad? I recommend everybody go do that. All right, everybody, I have had such a good time. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, no, this was way more fun than I was stressed, but now I'm good. Yeah.
Oh, we made Ryan feel not stressed. Well, we're going to get Ryan on the Discord server. If you are on the Discord server, make your way to the Data Science Hangout channel and tag me so I can make your name yellow, give you a little badge that says DSH. And we will have to plan a marketing chat at some point so we can all have more technical questions
Yeah,
about
definitely. And
marketing and modeling. It's going to be fantastic. All right. Next week, Kevin Dalton will be joining us, senior data scientist at Great American Insurance Group. And then we have Thanksgiving, which is off. I will not see you next week. Rachel will be here with you. Isabella will be here with you. And I'll see you the week after Thanksgiving, hopefully. Thank you so much for being wonderful. If you want to save the chat, there's 3 dots in the top that will let you do that. It'll save it as a TXT file. And of course, if there are any resources that we can go save over in the Discord, everybody go do that. And eventually, maybe we can have our chat only on Discord, and then we don't have to worry about saving chat files because everything will live there. So as we move in that direction towards Discord chat, I highly recommend going and joining the Discord, okay? Because it will be the place where we can continue conversations and we won't just have an ethereal chat that goes away every single time. All right, everybody. I will see you in a couple of weeks, but come hang out with Rachel next week with Kevin Dalton, okay? Bye, everybody.